All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Oh, let's see, about 1 o'clock for me here. This was, I say this often, this is going to be a short video here. There's very little in crypto that's appealing, at least from a technical perspective. Now, I'm going to, before we dig in here, just be bear with me. I don't do this very often, but we do have a little sale going on here. This is our March Madness sale. This will be running through Sunday night. 20, 35, 25, and 30% discounts on our 3 tiers of membership. Crypto's not looking particularly good technically at the moment, but again, as we're going to talk about here, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, kind of macro, geopolitical, and political perspective here that potentially should be foundational for the coming bull market, right? I think we all believe it's coming. Of course, it's frustrating that we haven't seen more positive developments technically than we're seeing right now. So a very good time to perhaps be refining your technical skills. So 3 different ways to do it here, very reasonably priced, right? So this is the one that will get you access to the belt system here. I'll let you read through it here. What's available to you. And that's where most people start, right? But if they don't do the free, right, if you're interested in going through the belt system, this is a kind of a nice way to do it without having to pay the full boat here. So get a 30% discount on that. You should be able to get good value for your dollar there. Okay, with that said, let's get back over to Bitcoin now. It's surprising, right? It seems like technically this should look better. Now, we've been over this count a few times. Okay, if the 5 is in here and this is all corrective, there are counts that can get us done here. You have to do a little bit of an Elliott shuffle to make it fit. This could be WXY. Right, we'd put the X here because we've got this clean 3. This is a count that was proposed by one of our really very skilled members, Depeche, on Wednesday's live stream, and it's maybe it's a bit irregular in the time difference between what would be the W, the X, and the Y. But if indeed we are ever going to get out of here with a clean 5. That may be how we come back here to resolve this, although it's certainly abnormal. You're noticing here, as I've shown this last couple of weeks, I have to pull back a little bit. We did react here out of this golden zone. I am pulling from the proposed, if I get it right on there, I'm pulling from the proposed wave 4 as this triangle. That is a secondary pivot, right? So this is very tenuous. I would not put a lot of weight into that. I mean, clearly we get a reaction, right? So we don't have to wonder about it. But in terms of, is that going to be our pivot for the wave 4? I would be very surprised by that. But it's possible, right? I mean, again, the market doesn't need to obligate us and finish these patterns, right? The market's going to do what it's going to do. We're just trying to organize the chaos through these patterns that are prone to repeating, right? Again, we've got 97, 98 years of precedent with which to support our premise. Right, the market moves in 5s and 3s. That's the genius of Elliott Wave. Yeah, it can get complex, right? This 3 here into a W, right? That's not an obvious. That's not just a simple zigzag. So, flexing some intellectual capacity here to deal with complex wave counts, right? You either love it or you hate it, right? If you love the solving of the puzzle, this is certainly challenging technical work here. I'm still inclined to think that we are yet to put in the X wave here, despite the fact that there is a solution. We'll get to that in a second. There is a solution here. Right at the moment, right, I'm hoping we don't collapse here, right, and invalidate. If we sweep this low, we're going to invalidate. We are at a spot where you can anticipate that we might get a reaction. It's very common in a diag to see a reaction for the 4 for a 50 between the start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3. Proposed, right? The proposed start of 1 and 3. This is not pretty technical action here. But ABC, 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 A, B, C, maybe, right? Reaction 50 to the tick, right? So that's not surprising, but we're going to need to get out of here with a good 3, right? This is what we'd be anticipating. And now, it could take a variety of shapes, but something along those lines here. Now, right, whenever you see a reaction like this, as much as crypto enthusiasts and bulls are kind of hoping, right? Hopium is heavy here, that we're going to get out of here with a 5. We have to recognize that there's still a very high probability that all we're doing is putting in the X, and that would be that we would solve 3 into the A, 3 into the B, and we'd get a 5 here. We'd get a diag into that X wave, and that sets up. That's an X. Then we'd be looking for an ABC, which would take us lower. Now, again, we're going to look at some things that make it hard to envision how that's going to happen, right? So it's much like what we're seeing right now, right? I mean, again, there's no surprise here. I don't even know how many hundreds of millions were spent from the crypto industry to get this administration in place, to be a crypto-friendly administration. So why are we not rallying? Well, it remains to be seen, right? It's not game over yet, but this is not particularly attractive price action, right? So is this time to take a trade here? Well, that's a trading opportunity right there. I wouldn't do it with a lot of leverage. I'd have a tight stop on this. It's just strong suggestion, right? Anytime you're using leverage, you've got to have a stop on it, right? It's just foolish not to. To get maybe a zigzag out of here or some sort of an ABC, very real possibility. Now, is that enough right there? Just a little reaction off the 50? For the very aggressive, I might want to see a little, personally. There's a few things it has to get through, right? If we just do it this way, right? Remember, every swing, right? You're always going to have an algo fighting you on the other side. Always, 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 and forever, right? That's not going to change. So we got to get through that, right? So if it were me, and I'm now anticipating a 3-wave structure here to complete this, where I'd want to take it is on the retrace, right? Show me the first 5. Retrace, right? Now, okay, I'm going to give up a little bit in doing it that way, but I'm going to feel much more secure and more comfortable in the analysis if I can get an A and then a retrace for the B to the C. Right? If you're in our purple belt, right, we only let you trade the 3s and the C's. Right? That's a discipline we're forcing you to build, and you could do it here, right? You couldn't take the first one, although take that back. You could take the 3 of an A wave here if you get a 5, and you could take the 3 of the C wave, or you could take the entire C wave, right? Not to get caught up in the restrictions in that belt, but that we do that for a reason. Right? Now, as you look here and go, I wonder what happened there. Well, you gotta pay attention to what's happening from the other side, right? So as we come down here, and I get right on that. I know, right? It probably gets old, me doing this week after week, right? What do we see? You see what we've got here? We're bouncing out of a golden zone. Let me get it right on there. Right? Well, we got a wick, just a tick or two, right? Just a wick that went, but just a tick past the 65, right? We have to have a close beyond to kill the algo, right? So algo's still in play. ABC into this pivot here, we can understand why it rolls over there. Now you can say, oh, it's because of the tariffs, it's because of what Trump, name your Trump insanity. The number of reasons. Coincidental? I'll let you draw your own conclusions, right? All I do is point them out to you. All right, so we know we have that to get through. So in the same way, we'd have it to get through here, just like we are now bouncing here, right? It's algos drive it. It's not why it moves, it's how it moves. And you could say the same thing for Elliott Wave. It's not, we don't make the swing structure here because the market is obligated to complete these patterns. It's just how people tend to react to their emotions here. Fear, greed, right? That's what creates these Elliott waves. Okay, genius of Elliott, right? Those emotions tend to be reflected in 5s and 3s in the market, right? It's amazing. Again, don't take my word for it. You got 98 years of precedent, right? Pull up any chart in the last 98 years. Right? Do your own research, as they say. Okay, right? So this is okay. Maybe we're pulling back into a lot of volume here. Oh, where's that guy here? Oh, now let's do it this way. Let's take it from this low and just pull it across, right? So what do we see here? Oh, right, just below the POC. A push down here to the value area low of this range, right? This is only relative to this range. Oh, right, we sweep this, right? Invalidated count, right? Then this is going to get really, not sure where we're going if that's what happens, how we're going to count this or how we're going to solve it. That's quite the challenge. We shall see, right? But let's not, make an assumption. But first, let's see, do we get a reaction out of this? Now, they're really, I looked through a lot, went over to AltFins. They have a nice scanning feature to look for crypto that's on the move. There is really, I'm going to do the TA here. There's really, before I go to something different. OM mantra. This is probably the one of the very few, I would call it, let's put it in the strongest projects category that is trending. Now, it looks a little bit different. I've taken it out of log scale just so you see the perspective. Of course, I'm over here on BloFin. This is our sponsor. We have had a very good experience trading with them. We continue to recommend them to any of you that might be looking for exchange. I can tell you that just looking at the volume of those that trade with us there, but trading volume is certainly very down because there's not a lot to be excited about. This is one of the few that is trending. Good look at it here, but you might look at this and go, oh, the 1, 2, wait, whoa, how is that working? Well, if you take it to log scale, this starts to get a little bit cleaner. It looks like you've got a clear 5 here. So it looks like this would be a 3, almost doesn't matter, right? Sideways for the 4, we get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to kick the 5th of the 1 retrace, right? Then 1, 2, 3 sideways, right? We stop progressing the trend, right? It's very easy to spot the 4, and then we kick into a 5. So looking for a retrace here as this comes down, I would have this, top of your watch list for a crypto that's actually trending, despite the fact that the majority of the entire crypto industry is just flat to boring to just doing nothing or just selling off, right? It's just not there yet. But you have to look at it and think, oh, we can use Warren Buffett's famous mantra, or I don't know what we would call it. As he talks about the stock market, right? He describes the stock market as a vehicle for wealth to be distributed from the impatient to the patient. Well, if you're an impatient crypto trader, remember that. And I'm going to use that as a segue to go over to a few things to consider. Now, let's see. I'm going to pull this up here. If I can do it without revealing too much here. So I'm just in the ChatGPT, and I just asked, I want the 3 most significant pieces of legislation that are good for the crypto industry in the U.S., right? So you likely, right, if you're a crypto enthusiast, you're familiar or at least been exposed to some of this. The FIT 21, the Financial Innovation and Technology Act of the 21st century, right? This is very, very positive, right? That we're starting to get regulatory clarity, yes, which has always been, the threat level of that lack of clarity in the market selling off and the institutions losing their interest in crypto or being unwilling to get actively involved in crypto without this regulation. Well, now we're starting to see it. Now we've got the executive order establishing the Bitcoin Reserve. More on that in a minute. And then we have this being particularly significant, the SEC guidance on crypto custody by banks. These two are a very big deal. Now, since we don't have a lot to talk about on the TA side of it here, I'm going to make a strong suggestion to those of you, maybe a little weekend viewing here. I've recommended this guy to you before. I do keep an eye on what he's doing. Let me bring this over here. I'm going to encourage you to watch this video here. Mark Moss, right? Many of you, he's got 647,000 subscribers, right? So many of you are likely already subscribed. If not, I'd encourage it. This is a particularly relevant, and I think it's consistent with kind of my broader theme here, is that patience will be rewarded. Okay, it's a little clickbaity, right? A little bit, right? And the first thing he says is, this is not clickbait, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I would encourage you to watch this over the weekend, right? It's 14 minutes long. I think this will renew your conviction about where we're going and the significance of what's happening behind the scenes, right? It's kind of ties in rather nicely to what we're talking about here, particularly these two. So I would encourage you to take a peek at that if you haven't already. If you're not one of his subs, I'd encourage it. Right? I mean, yeah, he's got products he sells, and he promotes now and then, but he does a really nice job of presenting the data, right, in a non-hypey way. Is he a Bitcoin enthusiast? Absolutely, right? But highly recommended. All right, back to OM and Bitcoin. It's a hurry up and wait. Do you want to buy this now? I'd suggest not. Do I like it down here at 480? Absolutely. Where's the highest probability location for a wave 4, right? And to come into the prior degrees 3, 4. Anything in this pocket here would be interesting. I certainly have this top of my watch list amongst alts for something to buy that has performed well despite the rest of the industry just being flat to dull to just collapsing. Bitcoin, again, why take the risk here? You know, if you want to, again, if going into the weekend, right, it's kind of a wild card. You don't know what comes out of it, right? If I got a good 5 here and I got a decent retrace, yeah, right, stop under the low. A well set up trade. To just buy it here, it's a little bit of a finger cross. Well, I hope it goes. I mean, you're sitting at the POC of this range. Not a great place to enter because we have agreement that that's fair value. So what is your edge? Well, you could probably talk yourself into my edge is that I have a technical pattern here that makes sense. If this is an A, this is a B, and I'm looking for a 5 here, and we're going to do it as a diag, well, I'm expecting to get a 3 here. Well, first, let's get the first of the, let's get the A wave. Retrace into the B, take the C. You know, not in a hurry, because certainly the other possibility is that we're rolling over here to go challenge this low because this is a suspect low. It's not a confirmed low. We don't have a 5 coming off of it. You can't Elliott shuffle this into something impulsive, obviously. Diag, not yet. It's not complete. And even if we do complete it up here, which would be a nice little trade, right? I mean, there's nothing to scoff at. You get, you know, if I put the whole thing together, right? If you get that trade, that piece of it here from 85 to, you know, 93, 94, 95, somewhere in that range, it's a nice little trade, right? You could lever that a touch. I wouldn't go heavy, but you could lever that a touch looking for that because you got a very clear exit, right? You can do the math pretty quickly. Okay, what am I risking here? Just a suggestion, right? If you buy it here, why are you doing it? Dopamine, right? You want the shot in your day, right? I want a little action, right? I'm bored. It's Friday, whatever, you know, whatever. You're just doing it. Again, you're just gambling. You have no edge here. None. Zero. Zip. Get a 5 out of here, and now you got a little edge. My suggestion. Okay, right? So some weekend viewing consideration here. Well, we'd love to have you. Of course, you can always join us for free. Again, this goes for, we got another 4 days. Come into the Discord if you're not already in, right? We've got a lot of people that are in the free membership. Kind of sniff around to ask the other members, right? Is there good value here? Blah, blah, blah. Right? This is also not a bad way to go if you're not quite ready to go into the belt system, because I got news for you. The belt system is not easy, right? By design. Right? Did you think this was all going to be easy? Well, how are your results so far? Right? Has it been easy? Easy money? Right? It's the allure of trading, right? It looks so easy. Well, how hard can it be? It's going to go up or it's going to go down. How hard is this? Well, this is the hardest easy money you'll ever make. As I've said for a long time, and as do others, right? There's nothing easy about this other than how easy it looks, right? That's the allure. That's the terrible performance record of most retail traders, right? It looks so easy until they get in and play ball. Okay, with that, I'm going to cut it short and sweet here. We'll be back next week with a live stream on Wednesday. We got a few things cooking here that, well, you may see some new things rolling out from us over the next 4 to 5 weeks here. There's some things we've been working on in the back end that I think will be solid improvements for the membership beyond the belt system and what we're currently doing. So keep your eyes peeled. And with that, I wish you guys a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.